Hello again, Dan Olasso, Making History. It is day 35 of my retrenchment, 243 to go. It was kind of a gray day yesterday, so hopefully it'll be a little better today. The weather seems to have changed, but we are getting bad air quality from Canada, so who knows what's in store for us. Yesterday, I wrote to the student governments at both Bemidji State, where I work, and at the University at Mankato, where I'll be speaking at the end of the month. And hopefully they can give me some time while I'm visiting to chat with them. It may seem silly, but now that the thought has occurred to me that students could be uniquely effective in advocating for themselves on issues like reducing textbook costs, I really want to test that theory and see how effective they can really become. After all, we wouldn't have had the legislation in Minnesota that led to the Z degrees without a lot of lobbying by the statewide organization of the two-year community college students, Lead Minnesota. The four-year students have their own organization, Students United, which has said it supports decreasing student expense and course material costs, but it hasn't really acted yet. So I wrote to them this morning to see if a former professor could even become a member if I took some courses. It's weird, isn't it, to think of professors as students? But that's a topic for a different day, I suppose. The other thing that will be happening today is the first system-wide academic and student affairs technology council meeting of the academic year. And this will be a 3.5-hour meeting that will begin at noon. They have these about a half a dozen times throughout the academic year. It'll be interesting and a little bit more relaxing to attend as a participant rather than as the chair today. I'll also be curious to see how things are going at the other colleges and universities. Obviously, I've been a little bit focused on Bemidji for obvious reasons. The council has members from both the colleges and the universities, as well as spots for representatives of both of the student groups. So I'll be interested to see whether or not student reps attend. Sometimes we are unable to fill those slots. And if not, I might volunteer to get in touch with each of these student groups and encourage them and begin some type of dialogue. In other news, yesterday I also bought another domain so that I can build a website that more directly addresses the open education work that I want to do. It's going to be called disrupteded.net, and I'll be working on getting it set up over the next week or so, I think. I'm going to choose a slightly different, more modern, video-friendly theme when I'm building this one, rather than the one that I used for drdanolasso.com. That one was the one I had used a decade ago. So I kind of used it out of nostalgia, and also because I'm reusing a lot of content that I had posted over the years, especially when I was a grad student. For example, I've added blog archives that go all the way back to 2009. And so I'm also reproducing kind of the format in which those had been out there on the web. This new one will probably focus quite a bit more on audio and video, since I do a lot more of that kind of stuff nowadays. It will begin with a section on open educational resources, OER, and then it will also have a duplicate of this retrenchment series, because I do think that's relevant to the theme of how higher ed is changing and how education has been disrupted. And finally, it will have a section on note-making and writing, which is something that I want to continue exploring, continue talking about, and maybe even create a course around that I will offer out on the web. And I imagine I'll add more sections over time as I do more things education related. So I'll announce here when it's ready to visit. Hopefully that'll be in a week or so. But in the meantime, that's what's happening to me today in my retrenchment odyssey. So I hope you found this a little bit interesting. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you again tomorrow.